Java with Joe the podcast is brought to you by Kemba Credit Union, celebrating over 90 years of quality service to our membership. Sponsored in part by First Choice Coffee, the official coffee of Java with Joe, and Real Vision. And now your host, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Westchester Liberty Chamber Alliance, Joe Hinson.
Thank you. We're with Sandra Wright, founder and executive director of the Wright Life Wellness. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you, Joe. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you. So, first of all, are you from this area?
I am. Yes, I've been in Westchester now for 20 years.
Okay. So you grew up in this area? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the West End before the transformation.
Okay.
And then we migrated out here 20 years ago.
Okay, very good. And interested in your journey, and let's go ahead and get into that.
Okay.
You're a thriving, and I'll accent the word thriving, heart transplant survivor. Let's talk about your journey and that process, which obviously led you to your business and what you do today.
Exactly. So, yeah, it has been very interesting with all of that. And what I'm able to tell people now is live your dreams, live every day to the full, because you don't know what's coming for you. And that's the case with me. I've always been very passionate and chasing after my dreams. And then about 7 years ago, I get the news of having congestive heart failure. Immediately going into denial with all of that, and therefore not doing what I was instructed to do, which led me to fourth stage heart failure, the need of having a heart transplant. And so here I am today, 7 years later, thriving in what I do, and very grateful and thankful to the donor and to whoever this wonderful person is whose heart keeps me alive.
Absolutely. So through this journey and through what you've learned and your life's mission now is you're paying it forward.
Absolutely. And I made that promise while in the hospital. I told my team they would never regret putting this heart in me, and I would pay it forward for the rest of my life. And I do it with joy. I really do. Joy and passion, and it's just great, the work that I do and the results that I see.
So you promote, obviously, a healthy lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And this is from, obviously, your own experience, what you've seen in others, and what you feel is necessary today.
Absolutely. And the point of that, Joe, is this. We chase after so many things in our lives. We put a lot of things out there to be priorities. But the biggest thing is our health. Our health is our greatest wealth. And we need to pay more attention to maintaining it and keeping it when we have it.
So you took what you've learned, wanting to pay it forward. So tell us how Wright Life Wellness got started.
Okay. Wright Life Wellness got started. It has always been my intention and my desire to live in purpose, but I never knew what that was. A lot of us struggle to figure that out. And so as I made that promise in the hospital when I got out, I knew that there was something for me to do. And so I just kept trying one thing after the next and landed on initially starting a nonprofit by the name of Greater Cincinnati African American Heart Association.
Right.
And so I did that for about 4 years, and I didn't see it going in the direction. And so I pulled back from it, prayed. I'm a praying woman, and asked God, what am I to do next? And then the Wright Life Wellness was born.
So let's talk about, obviously, becoming an entrepreneur. Are you a family of entrepreneurs? Had you worked for other people prior to in your career? Did you work the corporate? Tell us a little bit about your background in industry before you actually became an entrepreneur.
Okay. Well, I've kind of been an entrepreneur of sorts all my life. I was that kid that had the lemonade stands and did things, that put on shows and charged the ticket price and that type thing. I worked for Hamilton County Juvenile Court for a good number of years. And then from there, I went into the medical field. And so I was a medical receptionist for about 6 or 7 years, and just have always been passionate about working in the public and working with people. And so being in that medical field, and again, my experience with my own health, coming to that place of understanding just how important it is to be in good health and to manage it and maintain it.
Right, very good. So you mentioned before about starting the Greater Cincinnati African American Heart Association. So why the transition to the business that you have today and name?
I was met with a lot of challenges with that. And then it was the name association that was a big situation there, because American Heart Association and then the African American Heart Association. And so people who were looking for me would find them. And, you know, it just was confusing.
Sure.
And so I have some professional medical people in my circle of friends, and I had conversations with them, and through their guidance and suggestions and advice, I decided to do a name change and go in a different direction. Still, everything I do will still be the foundation of heart health, because everything that we do in our bodies, it affects our hearts.
Sure, absolutely. So, you know, as I looked at your transition in your career, one of the things that stood out to me as a compliment to you was this allowed you to be more diverse and more inclusive, too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that was a big goal. Because with the name African American Heart Association, although the African American community was excited about that, but not excited enough to support it.
Okay.
And then it just became, you know, I can't stop what I'm doing because it means too much to me
Sure.
personally.
Sure.
And so I just had to figure out what is the direction to go in
Sure.
to see a measure of success.
Sure. And as an entrepreneur, you know, that's difficult because a lot of times you got this momentum. Now you're listening to other people. You want to move the process forward, and you've come up with a name. They suggest you come up with another name. They're obviously a leap of faith to do so. Want to continue that momentum you've built. But as I mentioned before, you know, a tribute to you, because I knowing you and how important this was to you to become more inclusive.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because health matters to everyone. And so when you put a name on something that just targets one community or one ethnic group, then you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot. And I wasn't reaching my goal because we talk about inclusivity and diversity, but I see very little effort in that manifesting in our day-to-day lives. And so I'm very intentional to build my brand and my business on the principle of that.
Sure. So as a professional, and I would call you that because you're a trained community health awareness advocate. Talk a little bit about your training that has helped you be able to position you to where you are today.
Oh, I can't remember now how long ago it was. I want to say it's 5 to 6 years. I was invited to come to the Women's Heart Symposium, put on at the Mayo Clinic, and that's where I received my training to become a community health advocate. That is where I first heard the word self-care. And at that point, it was just on the threshold. It wasn't the buzzword that it is today. And that was an awesome, awesome experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're very talented. You can do a lot of different things. So let's talk a little bit about some of the things, obviously, that you're doing here. First of all, you're a wellness coach. So when you're coaching others, obviously, that takes a lot of time, energy. Everybody's different.
Absolutely.
Patience. So tell us a little bit about taking that initiative and wanting to, obviously you're paying it forward, but you're doing that as coaching others.
That is so rewarding because people, they don't always know how to get started in achieving what it is they want to achieve. And so having someone like me as a coach to help build them a plan, give them some guidance in the direction that they want to go in, man, that is everything. And to be a person that people feel comfortable and confident in sitting and telling me the deepest concerns of their life,
Sure.
I do not take that lightly.
No, you don't. And you come with a lot of credibility because a lot of this you've lived yourself.
Absolutely.
And so you're able to identify with and to point, obviously, people in different directions that you felt would be of benefit and helpful to them. So something else, obviously, if you think back on this, you're a motivational speaker. Did you ever think that you would be getting up in front of people and motivating them and being able to tell your story, or getting them excited about, taking care of their health and being proactive instead of reactive? I mean, how did that all come about, and what gave you the confidence to get in front of people to do that?
Funny story, Joe. I was probably in the 5th grade, and my teacher called for my mother to come for teacher-parent conference. And she said to my mother, "Miss Mitchell, Sandra's the sweetest girl, never give any problem. I just have one problem with her. She's too sociable and she talks too much." And so with that, as children, we show our parents who we are. And sometimes they want to snuff that out instead of nurturing it. And so I do talk a lot, but I need to because of what I do. And so I have no fear of standing before people. I don't have those butterflies. I'm not nervous.
Good for you.
I can speak well right off the cuff.
Sure.
And so I just know that this is the way God wired me. And I am living in my purpose.
Absolutely.
What I was predestined to do. And it's the most wonderful experience. It's hard. And it has been challenging, and it's even been hurtful at times. I've probably cried from my belly many a nights. But the determination and the will to do, it's like fire burning in my soul.
Well, and I can see that right now as you talk to us. I can see the passion in your eyes and knowing you and how important that is to you.
Absolutely.
Plus, obviously, you're talking about a subject you know well. And when someone is able to do that, it shows.
Yeah.
And you've been able to do that. So let's talk about how you engage wellness with a program called Recharge. Let's talk about your Recharge program.
Recharge is a wonderful experience. It can be done for a small private group or even corporate. And I recently did an episode, if you will, like a Recharge for First National Bank. And it was outstanding. Recharge is a group of people who have things in common, whether coworkers, friends, family. And I help you to do a deep dive into the things that are blocking you in your life. And even though it's a group, you feel safe in that group because it's people that you have in common with.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it's powerful, Joe. I have seen people take the information that I give them, put it to use, and I've seen their lives transform in front of my eyes. What else do you want in life? I mean, money can't give you that.
Yeah, you can't put a price tag on that.
You really can't.
And how rewarding that is to you to see that, where you've been able to change somebody's life by being able to give them something where they're able to apply it and then have something positive for them as they continue, and surely share the word with others.
Absolutely, absolutely. And from that, I've seen women who have been taken advantage of by their family and people around me because they didn't know how to say no. I can tell you no with not even blinking, but it's difficult for
Sure.
some. And to be able to empower someone, one lady comes to mind. She was being taken advantage of severely, money, everything. Now she found her power to say no, and she's happier in her life.
Very good.
And again, you can't put a price on that.
No, you can't.
No,
So let's talk about some of the tips that you give. And so I want to list those, and you just kind of talk about them, if you will. First of all, the importance of regular exercise.
very important, because the more you move your body, the better it feels. And so a lot of times we're sitting around in sedentary jobs. You really do need to get up and exercise, because your body is going to get stiff and you have those aches and pains. And so, yes, I definitely push exercise daily. If it's nothing but a 15 to 30-minute walk,
Okay,
move
very
that
good.
body.
Okay. And obviously a balanced diet and stay hydrated.
Absolutely. It's true. You are what you eat. And for me, I had a drastic change of diet. I stopped eating meat. So I've become a pescatarian, and I'm even select in the seafoods that I eat. So your diet is everything. You have to pay attention to how you feel when you eat certain foods. Sure. Because if you start feeling bad, your stomach is feeling crampy or whatever, what did you eat? Mm-hmm. And then you start making changes like that. So being cognizant and paying attention is a big factor.
I think the next one is something that people, I think, they forget about doing, and that's relaxing.
Yes, that's very much true. That's where that whole self-care thing comes in, and especially with women, we do everything for everyone, and we forget about self. And so you walking around, your body is full of stress, and you're tight and anxious. You need to relax. You need to take a time to pull back and take care of you and not feel any remorse or guilt about doing it.
That's a good point. A lot of women are basically the caretakers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
They feel they have to keep going and going and going.
That's right.
You got to take care of the caretaker for the caretaker to take care of others.
That's exactly right. And that's what I tell them. You have to be good to you first, right, in order to be good to someone else.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
A sinking boat can't save anyone.
That's true. And the importance of setting goals and priorities. We know that how important that is in business, but obviously you're talking about in personal life also.
Absolutely. And this is something that I have taught my children and my grandchildren. Everything we have done or achieved in our life, anything we do, it all starts with a thought. And so I created a little formula that's very simple. Your thought, you start writing those thoughts down. Then you organize those thoughts and you put them into goals. And then those goals, you organize those and look at how to achieve those goals. That becomes your plan. And when you work that plan, you'll get the manifestation of what it is that you want to see in your life.
There you go.
And I work that in my own life, and I live today the life that I want to live.
That's very good. And again, that shows obviously the experience that you have, that you're able to share that with others. Practice gratitude. You showed that early on when we first started talking about being a survivor and thriving. And at that period of time saying, this is what I want to do, and paying it forward and moving forward. Mm-hmm. And you obviously showing the importance of being appreciative of what you have and sharing that with others.
Mm-hmm. Because I spent a good portion of my life, especially in my early years, of dealing with depression. And so I love learning, and I love to dig for information. And so with that, I was tired of being depressed every day. And so I began to look up and study and do research on depression, and I realized my depression was situational depression. And then I got to the root of that, and it went back to the tapes I was playing mentally.
Okay.
My thoughts, the things I thought of every day. And so when I decided to change that with gratitude, life has been good ever since.
That's awesome. And lastly, be positive. You can't be a motivational speaker unless you are positive.
Absolutely.
And, obviously not only as the motivational speaker, but in your life and everything that you do, and obviously learning more about your business, everything is moving forward, upward, and a very positive take on you can do this, and I'm here and I can support and help you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. Everything has its cause and effect. And it's either you're thinking positively or you're thinking negatively. And the result of how you think is the way you live. Some things we make more difficult than it really is. Change the way you look at things, you'll change the way you see.
Absolutely.
You change the way you see things, you'll change the way you be. I believe in just simplicity. And, life is complicated enough. And so when you're dealing with me, I'm going to make the process as simple as possible because we're going to get results.
So we've gone through all this, and so kind of a self-thought here with Sandra. What continues to drive you today to promote self-care and self-wellness? What continues? That's a driving force that's driving Sandra to be able to do that internally for yourself, but to share that and help others.
The high statistical numbers of people that are sick, that's the drive. The things that I know and see, how single parents raise their children on toxic food, where children don't even like fruits and vegetables because they're used to getting chicken nuggets and ramen noodles, and all of that stuff is toxic. And so to know better is to do better. At least that's what I was taught. And therefore, the purpose in being able to elevate someone's awareness and to give them some knowledge that they didn't have, I will forever live and operate in my purpose and do it with passion and joy.
Yes, very good. Well, we talked about how it was important for you to be more inclusive, and here's an example of that. And in January of next year, you're starting a men's health initiative.
Absolutely.
Shop Talk.
Yes.
Please tell us about that.
Oh, that is something we're all very excited about because women socialize differently than men. Men come together, they're going to talk about the sports and mainly, just guy stuff. Rarely do they come together and talk about health concerns and health issues. And I don't want my husband, nor I'm sure you're married, right? Your wife doesn't want it for you either to one day get that call, And so with Shop Talk, we have put together a program where these men are going to come. It's going to be held in a barbershop. My own barbershop was so excited about the idea, he offered the space for free. And so it'll be men only talking about men's health issues. And we will have professionals to come, and it's just going to be outstanding.
So, Sandra, again, Shop Talk is an exciting initiative that you're going to have for men. How would somebody register for that as they're listening and say, hey, I want to get involved?
So we're going to have a form on the website, wrightlifewellness.org. So they would go out and it'll be very visible and clear. They'll fill that form out, and they can always call 513-484-4772 to speak with me and get personal information about Shop Talk. So that's going to come out in 2025, and we'll have the dates and everything listed on the website at the wrightlifewellness.org.
Very good. Very
Outstanding.
good. Well, I think that's great. So for someone that is watching, and they can identify with your personal journey, what recommendations would you have for them in being able to move forward like Sandra Wright has been able to do?
What I would say to those individuals, because a lot of times when you have had your heart removed from you, that is mentally challenging for a lot of people, and some go into a deep place of depression. But what I want people to know is no matter what happens to you, I've seen amputees go on YouTube and look at some of the remarkable people who continue to live. That's the key. No matter what happens, as long as you have breath in your body, you can still live and you can still be successful at whatever you want. I've seen athletes out there with no legs who have those prostheses, and they are running better than some who have legs.
Good point.
I saw a young lady on a video. She doesn't have any arms. It's just this. And she cooks full meals with her feet. You just have to have the will to live and keep going no matter what happens to you, because as people, we are fearfully and wonderfully made.
Yeah, absolutely. And well said. And again, I continue to say this, but just see the passion in your voice and how you feel about this. And so, I'm going to use the word thriving again, because you are thriving, no doubt about it. And so two things. First of all, if someone wants to connect with you, how would they go about doing so?
They can call me. I will always answer my phone, and that number is 513-484-4772. They can reach out to me in an email, which is sandrawrightwellness@gmail.com. And hopefully by the 1st of December, my website will actually be up and running, and that is sandrawrightwellness.com.
Okay, very good. And so lastly, as I mentioned, you are thriving. So that what can we expect from Sandra Wright and the Wright Life Wellness Group in the future?
The Wright Life Wellness, one of the things that we do with the Wright Life Wellness is we do a fundraiser every year in October. It's called the Red Shoe Gala. And so with that, the focus is raising money for high school graduates that are college bound going into the medical field. So I keep that common thread going in everything that we do. So that's one of the things to look forward to. I'm going to be talking with you and some others here at the Chamber about doing a wellness event here in Westchester. And so I've got some professionals lined up for doing that. So just going to really become more involved and get more immersed in the community.
Very good, very good. Well, this has been Sandra Wright, founder and executive director of the Wright Life Wellness. Sandra, pleasure having you today.
It's always a pleasure to be in your company. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Java with Joe has been brought to you by Kemba Credit Union, sponsored in part by First Choice Coffee and Real Vision. Thanks for listening.